Well, the second you put your hand on it, it's on the IMDb.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible, really, isn't it?
It looks like I have 27 movies that are coming out.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And actually, and you wouldn't mind, like, you would think that legally and everything else, like, that you would have to have contracts signed and everything else, but, you know.
I wonder how they get this stuff on there, I really do. It's quite
it amazes me as well at times, and then, you know, the laugh of it all is, you know, obviously as a director and everything else, we have genuine stuff that we're working on and we can't get it listed on there, you know.
Right. They won't. Even if I myself called up and I said, look, this is information pertaining to projects that I'm working on, and I'm telling you for sure that I'm not involved in that one you have listed. And they would say, really? Well, that's not what we heard.
Doesn't matter what you say.
It's for me that I'm saying I'm not doing it. And then if I called up and I said I was doing something, they'd say, well, we really don't. We're not so sure. We haven't heard about that. We have any proof of it.
Yeah, it's just
my God, you know? It's an abomination.
Yeah, it's interesting how they actually how they.
No, they had me starring in some picture with John Malkovich, and it was like it said we were actually shooting. It said shooting now, like on location shooting. And I was on some movie with John Malkovich somewhere in Calgary or something. And we were there for like a year.
Meanwhile, you're in Ireland filming the Strength and Honor, right?
I mean, I was nowhere near Calgary. And, I mean, it was so funny. I'd have my agent or manager call them up and ask them to please remove it, and they'd say no. They had information claiming that it was a fact.
The industry knows best, I guess.
I've got on some about stuff as well, and, you know, I've asked them, can they remove stuff and everything else, and they say, no, we can't. And I say, listen, I am actually the director of the movie. I think I know what's actually going on with it, you know? And they're like, no, well, you know, we can't do this because it's listed there.
Can you prove you're the director?
Exactly, yeah.
It's called resume filler.
You know what I mean?
You got a call yesterday that you weren't the director.
That's right, yeah. I actually, I was only actually disguised as the director.
Well, Mark,
the joys of it.
Mark, can you tell us exactly how you did come up with this story?
Yeah, it's funny, you know, I had trained as an actor myself. I studied with LAMDA, the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, and over 13 years ago I was caught in an explosion in Ireland, and I spent 7 months in hospital and 3 years in a wheelchair, and they told me I'd never walk again. And obviously at that time I was kind of faced with a situation where I knew that effectively my acting career was over, so I started writing so I could still stay involved with my first love, which is movies. And, you know, I just kind of was writing scripts. And I picked up an award in 2005 for one of my other projects in Hollywood. And I kind of, you know, it was kind of soon after that I realized myself the only way that I was actually going to get my movie made was to actually go out and, you know, make it myself. And it's kind of funny because
when he got his award for the screenplay and he went up to accept the award, he said, I don't have anyone to thank except myself.
And I got a standing ovation, and the funny part of it all was everybody was up there and they're thanking God and they're thanking this person, thanking everybody else, and I just went up, I just want to thank one person, me.
Which was funny in Hollywood, if you can imagine that.
And it was, but it's kind of funny, you know, because even though I was after winning awards, my script, you know, I basically kind of knew that the only way I was going to get anything done was going out and doing it myself, and went out and made my movie.
If that's not a human interest story, aside from the fact that he did write the screenplay and directed the damn thing and actually made a movie, I mean, you know, his whole story, even before he made the movie, is interesting enough to me that it should have been getting a little bit of attention in the trades or somewhere. You would have imagined that someone would have picked up on the whole thing. By now, we should be on Oprah Winfrey, for God's sake.
There you go.
Yeah, it's true when you think of it that way, isn't it? But you know, the funny...
If Brad Pitt stubbed his toe, it would probably be on the cover of the
People magazine.
Post, you know, and a big picture of his foot wrapped in a bandage on the cover of that magazine. And here's a guy who's in an explosion and can't walk, and is, you know, in a hospital for 2 years and in a wheelchair, writes a screenplay, makes a movie, And do you think that we can get them to mention it anywhere?
No.
What you got to do is adopt 6 kids from third world nations. Then you'll be all over the papers.
Yeah.
No, isn't that getting a little tired?
Yeah, we've heard that one before.
No, listen, take it from a father who has 5 kids. You know, it's really irresponsible to have so many children that you don't have enough time for them. And I don't know who's looking after all these kids they have when they're both running around the world making movies. And far be it from me to take away a good life from a kid who's adopted out of a bad situation. I think, that's very wonderful, but who's actually looking after all these little ones while they're busy running around being famous? It's I wonder. I mean, my hat's off to them for being good to children or thinking about their behalf, but as a parent, I can tell you, looking after kids is a huge responsibility.
Yes.
And I have enough trouble of my own looking after the ones I have. Mark is and it's a big job, and it requires an awful lot of time.
And he even actually, to give you an example of what Mike is talking about,
a staff of like 15 or 20 nannies and housekeepers.
I mean, to give you an example of what Mike is talking about, I had a little son myself.
Maybe I should adopt some children, and then they'd talk about your film, Mark.
Yeah, but they got to be from third world.
But I mean, even to give you an example of what Mike is talking about, I had a son myself 6 months ago, and I've actually, prior to Christmas, I had seen him for 10 days because of how busy we are,
He's away from his newborn baby boy, in Ireland, trying to up against the powers of Hollywood and the mechanism of distribution. It's enormous.
Well, Michael, how did you become involved in this film?
Well, I've been out there for a long time as an actor, and more recently as a producer. And the last couple of things that I've done, I finally saw the light of day and realized I had to become involved on another level. But Mark had sent me the screenplay and had met me on two different occasions and talked to me about making the film. And I was always keen on doing it, and it was just a matter of the financing getting together from Ireland. And I know it took a while for Mark to convince the folks that I could actually play the role. And it was also hard to find somebody for the other lead. It had to be a very strong leading man, and thank God we got Vinnie Jones, and he ended up winning a Best Supporting Actor award.
Oh, yeah, he's
for
great
this
actor.
film at one of the festivals that we were at. And it just came together like that. I mean, it didn't happen overnight, that's for sure. But we shot the whole thing over in Ireland, and I had to get in shape for it, of course, and which was good for me.